You might be surprised to know that you have more in common with bananas than you think. In fact, you share about 60% of your DNA with them. It's closer than the DNA you share with dogs or cats. But how can this be? I mean, we are mammals and they're fruit. Well, it all has to do with a single cell. See, all living things are made up of cells, the smallest units of life. And all cells come from a common ancestor. So the more you have in common with something, the closer you are related. And bananas used to be a lot more like us. They used to have roots, stems, and leaves. They used to make their own food through photosynthesis. They used to reproduce by spreading seeds. In other words, they used to be plants. But over the eons, bananas stopped doing all those plant things. They gave up their roots, stems, and leaves, stopped making their own food, and stopped reproducing. They became totally dependent on us. And we started to think of them as a fruit, because they started to look more like fruits, like apples and oranges. But genetically speaking, they're still plants. And bananas aren't the only example. Tomatoes are 94% genetically identical to each other, because they all came from the same ancestor. Potatoes, corn, and rice are all clones of each other. And even though you might think that bananas and humans are very different, we actually share about 60% of our DNA with them. So what does this mean for you? Well, it means that you should start treating your bananas with a little more respect. After all, they are your close relatives. And who knows, maybe one day we'll find out that they're actually smarter than we are. Now, speaking of bananas, did you know that there's a rare genetic disorder that makes people crave bananas? It's called autosomal dominant polycystic kidney disease. And people with this condition have an abnormal craving for bananas, but only the yellow ones. Scientists don't really know why this happens, but they think it might be because bananas release a chemical that makes people feel good. So if you have this condition, you might want to stick to green bananas because they have less of this chemical. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe so you never miss an episode. See you next time.